ready? You ready to roll? Alright. That's what's up. Late Ill Kid at OneYoungsta holding it down. Bring you that street geek and nerd soul. What is up, my people? Today, all year, coming with another wonderful episode of That's Right. You best believe it. You know what's going on. On screen, we're here to talk about the finale of Mandalorian. I'm not by myself. Right here in the square beside me, we have. Are you a Jedi or are you Saiyan today? Which one are you today?
I'll be a Jedi today. Why not?
All right, Jedi. No, Jedi. Not a Jedi Knight, a Jedi Master, because all the stuff he consumes. Dan, what's up?
Hey.
And you've been on before to talk Star Wars, so I'm glad you're here. We got some people in the chat. Cassandra Sellers, Garris George in the house. What up? Thanks for rolling through. Of course, we got NERDSoul light up in here. I'll throw it to the chat first. How are you feeling about the season 2 of Mandalorian? And while we wait for y'all to come in and chime in, Dan, how do you feel about season 2 in general?
I have enjoyed it a lot. It's one of those things where like you expect, it's Filoni and Favreau, and like first season was great, and so you're always like, maybe the second season might not be, but like they pulled it together because they obviously probably had a lot of this planned out, or like the ideas of it, and it just like they knew they were gonna blow us out of the water, like our minds collectively.
I will say this season we got some cooler stuff. What up, Gina James? We got some cooler stuff. They definitely spent more money this season. I can definitely tell that. A lot more fan service this season. Something I'm happy about, something I'm not. But all in all, entertained, a lot of fun to watch, and good to see the galaxy get a little bit bigger instead of staying small with like the same 10 to 20 people. So that's a good thing. Because I'm like, it's a galaxy. There's mad planets. Why are we dealing with like the same 20 people? There's got to be more people. Like, there's got to be more people that are important.
I mean, they could literally just make a show about like 15 different sectors of space, like a show for each sector. And
because you have like what is it like? You got like the deep core, the regular core, the outer core,
the mid rim,
mid rim. Yeah, you got tons of places, and each section has like mad planets. All right, so there's like quadrillions of people out there or something like that, and somehow the same 20 people keep meeting each other. But you know what? This ain't all about the hateration. It's also about the love. This I agree with Garrett. This is a step up above season 1. I do agree. It's a step up above season 1. And
I think it's also because season 1, it was kind of like let's put our feelers out and see if they like this. And then when people were like automatically hooked with like all the different things, they're like, all right, let's dive a little more into Star Wars that they know and kind of.
Yeah, and a cool thing was with like the way they open you up to the world where they don't handhold you, which I think is a cool thing in this show. And I think they are trusting the audience to kind of figure it out, which is the thing that's fun that I think this show does as well. And the way we are dealing with the Empire, the New Republic. I mean, the New Republic, and then people's thoughts and ideas around occupation. We're able to touch on some social issues that pertain to those planets that they're on and stuff like that a little bit better. And overall, I dig it. I'm glad we have this show, and it's solid. I'm happy we got this. So let's see. Jenna James, we're gonna hit your comments a little bit later because I see you. We see you. We got you. So I guess I'll roll on to the finale. You watch it. I noticed that Disney Plus was crashed. I was like, oh, the episode's up. Let me press play. Sorry, the internet is having issues, right? Please try again. I was like, oh, really? I was like, let me go out, come back in. Sorry, the internet is having, it's like, please try. It had a message like, our internet service is slow or something. Please try again. Please, come back later. And I was like, all right. So I went to Netflix. I watched Full Metal Alchemist for a little bit, then came back. And then and of course,
from one emotional slugfest to another emotional slugfest.
Yes. So I enjoyed FMA for a second, then came back and then watched the finale. Not bad. Not bad. Me likey. How about you, Dan? How you feeling about the finale?
Yeah, no, I definitely liked it. And there were some things that surprised me that shouldn't have surprised me. And there are other things that it was, there was a lot. And so I know some people are complaining like, oh, it was too much at once or whatever. But I'm like, you know what? This is Star Wars. Everything happens too much at once. You get moments where everything just goes into chaos. I mean, the beginning of episode 3, it's calmly a ship flying. They're both of the ships flying, and then you turn around the light speed cruiser, and there's a whole war over Coruscant. Like, Star Wars happens fast.
Yeah, and I'm glad that it happened the way it did. I'm like, look, let's jump into it. We've been here for 7 episodes. We know the deal. Let's get into it. Let's do this. You know what I'm saying?
And especially when we end the last one with the one before the last one with him with Din being like, hey, Gideon, I'm coming for you. I'm using your own speech against you, and I'm coming for you. Like that, we know. Like after we know that everything's just gonna happen at once.
And that ending of episode 7, he was like, look, I'm about to see you. And coming from the team aspect, which I really enjoyed from episode 7, was, you got people sniping, you got the people doing espionage, you got the getaway driver, like all of this stuff is cool. And then we get it again in this episode where it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna do the fake chase, I'm gonna drop y'all off, y'all gonna go in and start shooting, then I'm gonna sneak in. Like, I actually really enjoyed that. I like the team over here and somebody sneaking over there and then the getaway driver, because it's funny, the TIE fighters that came after Boba got shot down so fast.
So I was like, oh, he's like toying with them. He's like, oh, I'm gonna let them think that they're gonna get me, and then no, what are you talking about?
He's like, he's about to get into his bag for them shots.
Yeah. I mean, he could have, like, even though, like, when he first saw the cruiser and the few episodes before, he was like, oh, that's not, like, I feel like he would have confidently just been like attacking that cruiser if they didn't need to get things from the cruiser. Like, he would have found a way to figure it out.
He would have easily handled that, like, no problem. And them with the kind of like espionage and infiltration, you get to see some great teamwork. With you got Agent Melinda May coming through. Now we got Cara Dune, Fennec, Bo-Katan, and we got Mercedes. I can't remember. Sorry, but we got them coming through. One part that I really loved is when they were walking the catwalk and guys came up behind them. Guys came in front of them, and the two Mandalorian, Bo-Katan and Mercedes, just jumped off and they just bounced. And I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
And then when the guys came in behind, they were like, "Psych!" Pow, 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 pow.
Well, I think they went. Did they go under the bridge? Because I actually just thought they just like went to do other things.
Yeah.
And then so it was actually a surprise when they came up. I'm like, oh, they were just. That was a plan.
I think they just hit under the bridge for a second and came back. So that was dope. I thought that was really cool too.
And the other thing
go ahead.
about the to like compare the two seasons, I like that we got it kind of the same thing. Whereas last season we had Mando and a specific little team, and this time we have a different little team with one. It's like I like this, like it's a different team, but it's because we like to see a team. Teams are fun.
Yeah. Teams are fun every now and then, and you get your little team up move, and then you get your solo stuff, and
especially when they work off of each other so well. Like these people have never met each other, and they're just like,
but they kind of know. It's like we here.
Yeah.
Now I will say there was a lot of disrespect. Disrespect on the part of Finnick, Cara Dune, the Bo-Katan and everything. There's a part where they go into the rooms, and they could have just shot these stormtroopers, but they had to like punch them and kick them and beat them down before they shot them. It's like, you don't have to add insult to injury. Just kill me. You don't have to humiliate me first and then be like, pow.
I mean,
Finnick,
you kind of do.
Dude through like a square or something. Like, it's like, come on, man. Now you're just showing off.
I mean, they're the Empire. These are the Empire people who didn't want to give up after their entire pretty much fleet died on Jakku. Like,
true.
These are the people who are, or these are these are either the because this is after the current galaxy. There are two. There's the trusted portion of the Empire who is either at Exegol or finishing off. I believe Gideon is probably one of these people where they're kind of finishing off these little things in the galaxy before they go to Exegol or whatever. And then there's all the warlords and stuff who didn't go to Jakku.
Yeah, because by now the main Jakku battle is over. It's done. It's done. Like,
4 years ago.
Stick a fork in it. It's done. It's over. It's decided. You lost. But they also know the Outer Rim is a place where we can go and get our hide on. And but the only thing, the one issue that I do have with this show is I would have liked to see at least a little bit of struggle with like maybe like the Hutts, the Pikes and stuff like that, being like, oh, don't be coming out here. The Outer Rim is ours. Like, look, y'all lost. Look, don't be coming up in here. Y'all lost.
Because remember the whole in which I think it was Bloodline, the book where so that book, first of all, is amazing. It's a book mainly focusing on Leia, and it's a few years before Episode 7. Ben is still Ben; he's still training with Luke, but it's interesting because Leia kind of in the criminal world, she's big and famous for being the Hutt Slayer. That is literally her name, is the Hutt Slayer. And there's this huge power vacuum when Jabba goes down, because like the Hutts, they're the massive criminal organization, and like they have dealings with all the other ones probably, and because we don't really know, right, the state of the criminal organization. We don't really. They never really tell us. Because we know, during Clone Wars we learned a lot about that, and during Rebels we had little bits and pieces. And then we have, where Maul was running his little organization. But like during Crimson Dawn. But we don't know during the Galactic Civil War itself what the criminal organizations were like, other than Jabba was running the town or the galaxy. Like, we don't know if the Hutts were at the top of the game and everyone else was below. Because there's so many species that we learned in Clone Wars with all of these different criminal races, or so we don't know. So but in that book we see that like all of these criminal organizations are like, oh, Leia's the Hutt Slayer, like she's the king of she killed Jabba, man. And so like there definitely has to have been, and obviously with that end credit scene we see Bib Fortuna just sitting up on that throne. So I guess he's like, look, ain't nobody else here, I'm gonna take this. But then we also, because hold up, let me take this. It was funny because in the mid credits, I saw his name there, and I'm like, hold up, did I miss him when they went to get Bo-Katan and what's her name? Like, I was like, because that was like a kind of back. And see, you told me about the post credit. Once you told me, I was like, let me go back and watch this post credit. Yeah, because I always like sit to the end just in case. And anyway, I'm usually like because I stay up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning when I start, and I just watch it because I'm like, just no, because I can't be online.
It's like, I
I
can't
go
wait.
everywhere online. No, it's just not possible. So
Like,
yeah,
I can't wait. But basically, you know what I'm saying, we're loving the show. Now I'm gonna get to some people in the chat. Big shout out to Zias. Zias coming in saying, where are the other Mandalorians? Is Boba Fett the new ruler of Tatooine? I guess we'll find that out in Book of Boba. I guess we'll also find out sort of where the other Mandalorians are.
yeah,
in
because
season 3.
I'd forgotten that the ones from Navarro just left. Like, I thought with the helmets there that they were dead, because the whole cult thing is they don't take off the helmets, so why would all their helmets be up? But she said, someone reminded me that they left, and I'm like, right, okay, where'd they go?
And there's a part where I wanted to ask you in the chat. There's a part where, of course, we finally get to Grogu, and Mandalorian has fought through one of the Dark Troopers or whatever, and has finally gotten to Grogu. Lil G, my man. And you got, Big Brother Almighty in there. And they go at it. He wins the saber. Not on purpose, just, he just beats him because he's like, yo, you got my son, or my sort of like surrogate son. I ain't gonna let that happen. The part where he's like, Bo-Katan is not gonna take this, because you're giving it to her. She doesn't win through combat. Doesn't Bo-Katan take the blade from Sabine in Rebels without a fight?
Yeah, that's what everyone is complaining about, and it's been too long since I've seen it. But what I keep being told is that like Sabine got it at some whatever happened with Maul or whatever, she got it, and then there's that end scene where she literally hands it. Yeah,
she just gives it to Bo-Katan.
But I'm not sure
if
But I'm not sure if that may be just like a symbol, or that may be like Sabine's holding it and giving it to me. They may have dealt with that in a previous scene that we don't know about. Like there could have been an official handoff, and that was just like for show because it was in front of all the people. I don't,
But you still, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's stuff like that where it's like it gets kind of dodgy. Where I'm like, this is the problem. We're doing this because y'all got to follow y'all rules. And I'm like, I feel like y'all ain't following y'all rules. But
also, I think they should have definitely expected him to be in that room. Like Bo and Din should have gone down to because y'all announced you were coming for the kid. Of course, Gideon's going to be waiting in the cell. Like that's
true.
Come on, but all right. And also, they had some time that she could have told him, no, I have to win it from him. Like, it's a 2-second sentence. Just, come on.
I have to take it from him. I have to be the one that takes it from him for whatever.
Yeah.
But because I'm like, well, if it's a situation where only a Mandalorian can give it to you, well, Sabine is a Mandalorian. He's a Mandalorian. So it's like, it's once again, it's like, the show is dope, but it's like, bruh, this is your story. This is your canon. Get your stuff right. But that's still a small thing.
Yeah. Although a thought I had was between Sabine and Bo-Katan, in the different group, are they in the same clan?
No, because he's a foundling, so he's
no. I mean, Sabine and Bo-Katan.
No,
are they in the
I don't think so.
Because clan is like the last name is their clan, right? Or is it?
Yeah, I don't think she's not. Because
for a moment, I was like, oh, maybe like if you hand it off within your clan, it's okay. But
see, we shouldn't have to try to make up things to make the story work. Like they should be doing this work. So like that's the only problem I have with that. But
although I feel like maybe we'll get to that later.
Hopefully.
Because there has to be a bigger conversation.
we'll get to a second rescue. You know, we rescued a kid, but there's a rescue number 2 in here. You know what I'm saying? All them robots come back. You know what I'm saying? Iron Man style. You know, come through.
That I was actually surprised about. And it didn't even make sense why I was surprised. Like, I knew they fly. They obviously fly.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, they're in space and they just, I didn't even think about
it'll mess up their components or something. I don't know. It'll break the wiring or something. I don't know.
So when they all came back, I was like, oh, that's right.
Like, oh, snap. And it was, why did it look like it was way more that came back than that got sucked out? No.
Well, no, they're because it was like 30 of them or 40 of them, I think.
It looked like they sucked out maybe 20, but about 50 came back. Like, but I'm like, my eyes trying to count on the screen.
The way that they did the rows, it could have been a lot. It could have been 25 and 25 on each side, so that's possible.
True. So they come back. The team is looking like, yo, you saw how hard it was for Mandalorian to take down one. Right. What we gonna do?
The punch and punching the helmet into. Oh, first of all, Beskar is amazing. Like,
Beskar is some top quality stuff. I recommend it.
Yeah.
But we get a second rescue. An X-Wing shows up. And I was like, don't do it. And then the X-Wing comes through, and we see the black and white screen where it's like, bzz, bzz, cow, 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 cow. We're like, all right, it's a Jedi. Got his hood on. We don't know nothing. Get the like behind shot. It's a green saber. Oh, hold up. Then we see the glove. I was like, oh.
So, yeah, the glove is the moment. Well, the glove and the non-gloved hand. Once I saw both together,
the glove and the
is when. And I was like, I
was like, it's Luke. And then when he pulls off, I was like, oh, snap, it's Luke. And I was hyped. Yeah. I was super hyped. I got questions, but I was also super hyped. And see, oh, man. I was excited. I was hyped. But at the same time, I do got questions. But we'll get to the questions later. How did you feel about Luke rolling through, showing up and, doing damage how he did?
Yeah, so it's because it's 5 years after, and so he's like, this is the first time I was watching Christian Blatt's reaction. He has his podcast, so I did that last night, and I think they were saying this is the first time that we have seen this version of Luke. He's at the height of his power. This is 5 years after, so he's probably collected himself a little bit more. He probably has a few students by now. And that also makes sense why he's the one who answered, because if he's trying to bring back the Jedi, he's going to be listening for emanations from so it makes sense. And just obviously, he was a beast.
Yo,
he took down
Luke came through.
All of them.
Luke made those.
He made them look like battle droids. He looked them like battle. They were B1 battle droids in that.
Man, slicing them in half, throwing the box on top of them. Knocking them into each other. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Crunching them like a soda can. Like we got to see some true Luke status. You know what I'm saying? We got to see true, real Luke.
And people are comparing it to Vader's Rogue One appearance, where he's going through everything. Even with the doorway thing, but then also with which obviously, of course, they did that on purpose. But
very similar. Like, you saw Luke show off up in that piece, and I was extremely happy to see that. And it says, big shout out to Zia. Says, what an excellent second season, better than the first, and a fantastic season finale. Probably the best Star Wars offering since the last hour of Rogue One. Mind blowing. They brought Luke back. His sequence was probably the most bad butt he has ever been on screen, and him cutting through the Dark Troopers was a combination in style between Anakin taking out Confederacy
Oh
members
yeah.
in episode 3, and Vader's hallway scene at the end of Rogue One. Can't wait to see where they go from here. So many doors open now. Also, this show makes the sequel trilogy feel so detached, almost like a Star Wars in another galaxy.
Yeah, I got you.
That's what I wanted to get into. I love these shows and movies and comics and everything, but we do get into this area where some of the stuff doesn't feel like it mixes. And not saying, I mean, like, there's going to be things that we do here in America that they don't do in Colombia, or that they don't do in China or Israel or Argentina or whatever, and it's going to feel like a different place. So that makes sense. But I don't know if maybe thematically, I don't know. There's something that definitely is where like maybe like these 3 shows or these 3 movies feel like they go together, and then these 3 don't really match or something like that. I do get that feeling from time to time. But here, I love Luke. I love seeing Luke. The only thing is, once again, just like my issue with the Ahsoka episode, we start to run into like these areas of like, what are we going to do with the continuity? Because now we know Luke is training Grogu, and we know Grogu definitely got skills. So now people are going to have to ask, all right, well, he took him. He definitely had him to train him. What happened? Like, because we know, Yoda's species lives super duper long, right? So he should be alive during the sequel trilogy,
right?
Unless someone wants to say that Ben killed him. But then it's like, well, hold up, wasn't he supposed to be like mad, super duper powerful, even as a little dude? Like Ahsoka just said so. So it's like you get into these weird places where it's like, I'm excited, but I feel like you're making me ask more questions than you're answering for me. So like that kind of happens with me sometimes, where I'm like, I'm happy, and then I'm like,
Well, I think with that, this is also something that Christian mentioned on his podcast. That, or I guess no, and also in the episode, Ahsoka episode, that Grogu, at some point, like, because obviously if he was being trained by multiple people, first of all, I want to know how many Jedi trained him, why it was so many, and if that means that he was an unruly student, because that would just be amazing. I feel like he could be a very unruly student just because he's a baby, and he's like
he's still technically a baby.
She said masters. She said multiple people tried to train this kid. Yeah. So, but also like because of we obviously don't know what he went through or what between someone taking him from the temple and being in that place where Din found him. We don't know what happened. We don't know if he was like locked away in a thing for this period of so he's gone probably through some PTSD, and so what Ahsoka seemed to suggest is that whatever he went through, he's probably going through some form of selective mutism, or that's why he's he hasn't used his force powers. So he probably, if he had not been gone through whatever he went through, he would probably be able to talk. He would be stronger and like a more active force user than he is. So what I think, and because he's so strong, is that he'll probably pick things up really quickly with Luke, and then at some point he will leave and come back to Mando or something, or something. He'll
okay.
Because so I think he has all the power in there, but being around Jedi again, it might help him much more than
having like a young or I guess a teenage-ish Grogu. Even though
that's weird because we don't know how the stages work. Which is weird because but it's because he's 50 and then
he's 50. Actually, his 50 is like.
But remember,
it looked like maybe almost 2 years old for us. Because he was. But that's
also
speaking yet. He was just cooing. So that's like maybe like a 1-year-old.
but that's also what I'm saying before is like that he's been emotionally stunted. So emotionally, physically, forceful, he probably paused at some point in the past when things were getting too bad. Because if he's like that strong, he most definitely felt Order 66 happen.
Yeah.
And maybe the impact of him being a child and feeling all that.
Couldn't handle it.
He couldn't handle it, and then he just cut him. Basically kind of what Luke did, but not really voluntary, maybe.
Yeah, kind of like it's something that just happened because it was just like a sort of like a psychotic break.
Yeah. So I think that he probably will be. I feel like, well, if there's a time gap between, like a decent enough time gap between now and when we next see him specifically, I feel like it's going to be a very different Grogu.
Yeah,
which I'm okay with.
I would love to see sort of like the 20-year-old or 25-year-old Grogu. I mean, of course, equivalent. So technically, he'd probably be, I don't know, like 300, but he would be like 25 for us. You know what I'm saying? I would like to see that Grogu.
It'd also be very telling when we see Yoda in the High Republic stuff, because that's 200 years before, so that's a 600-year-old Yoda. So we might.
It's a fresher Yoda.
Yeah, because this is like adult, like not old. He's like adult. So because that whole life, it's being able to have what stage of life they're in. At least we'll have one other version of Yoda that'll help us kind of gauge what Grogu might be.
Yeah,
and we'll see.
Big shout out to Andrea Atkins says, seeing Luke in his prime like that was amazing. His moves were so smooth, not a wasted move, and his force power and control were incredible. Yes, I would definitely give that. I agree. Andrea Atkins continues to say, I wonder if R2 was the one who got Grogu out of the Jedi Temple when Order 66 was happening. We don't know his whereabouts. We don't know his whereabouts when Vader and the 501st were in the temple. And I think you're right. I might have to go back and watch episode 3. Was he with Obi-Wan yet? I can't remember because, of course, there's so much Star Wars between comics and novels.
Because he was still with
moments.
Because obviously there's a lot of cutscenes happening at that point, but he's still with. Because remember, he goes to Mustafar with Anakin, so I think he's somewhere. But because
R2 does roll up on Lil G. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows
that
like
conversation.
He rolls up, he starts beeping. He seems happy. He rocks back and forth. So
well, I mean, because Grogu was at the temple because remember Grogu was born the same time Anakin was. They were born around about the same age, around about the same time. So Grogu was possibly at the temple for the entire prequel trilogy. And R2 would probably, like, people go in and out of that temple all over the place. So it's possible that they would have met a number of times, but Clone Wars is a lot. So
then also go ahead.
It's always like crazy that the Clone Wars only lasted 3 years.
Yeah, it's like, huh?
Which is funny because that's also the same time gap as between episodes 4 and 5. 4 and 5, yeah, 4 and 5 is 3 years.
4 and 5 are 3 years.
3 years.
And 5 and 6 are 2?
It's weirdly contested. It's like between 1 and 2, possibly. It's 1, 1.5, 2, because some people say something, but
yeah, no. Kind of. Shouts to Jenna James says, only a Jedi could be able to come alone like that in in any flying vehicle and be able to take on a massive army. True, yeah, but
he didn't know what he was coming into. Like he had zero idea. All he was like,
that's how you know how boss Luke was at
that
time. That's how you know how boss Luke was. Like that's why I love Return of the Jedi so much, because when you see Luke in Return of the Jedi, he's bossed up. So this is 5 years after that. Dude walks up to Jabba like, look, check it. You're gonna have to let him go. Like that's it. I'm a Jedi and I'm not playing. It's like that was it. Like, it wasn't
Yeah.
like I'm not begging you. I'm not. No, just let him go because I'm tired of this. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I have to come down here and do all this stuff. Just let him go. Just like when he was like, I'm gonna go to see Vader. They're like, really? He was like, Psh, take my lightsaber. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm strong, bitch. No.
Yeah.
He was like, you know, it's so, and then of course he still had the all black that he was rocking. I was like, oh yeah, I see you. You know what I'm saying? Got the all black. And so it's like, we got to see master level, you know, I was excited for it. It does rub some ways if you ask a lot of questions, but if you don't ask questions and just have a good time watching it, this is a lot of fun. And someone said, Jenna James says, also with Luke's robes flowing during combat, he looks like Anakin or Mustafar killing the separatists. It irritates me so much in this this episode has inflamed episode 8 negativity. I like this episode. I like episode 8, but I got some friends I just need to steer clear of for a few days because as exciting as it was to see Luke swinging the saber around, and I did like it, it was a faceless body double killing CG droids. Yeah, I mean, yes, it was. But it's, I mean, yes, it
you
was
can't really get around that.
Yeah, I mean, Luke, you know, he don't look the same. Also, you know, yes, it's a faceless, you know, I see where people might have a argument with it, but I mean, what do you want? You can't please some people. You give them a cool scene. Oh, it's a faceless actor. It's a body double. Do you know how many body doubles are out there in them streets?
Everyone has a body.
Every fight scene has a body double. Bro.
At least one.
Come on. You about to break down the whole Hollywood industry.
And they're literally credited.
Doubles.
They're credited in the credits. Look at this. It's
yes,
like his body.
Come on, man. And the effects on Luke's face.
Yeah.
I'll say it again. We're getting there. Every time you see this technology,
that's what I keep saying.
We're getting a little closer.
Yeah.
Like
that's what I keep saying with Tarkin and Leia, like, because I was like, oh, it's definitely the same tech, and I'm like, and I didn't mind. I was like, you know what?
Young
this is the beginning. Yeah, because we're at the beginning of this technology. Like, because I'm pretty sure we have, and so I'm like, you know what? It's fine. It doesn't matter that it looks. Because it's very obvious, well, at least like people who like recognize it, it's very obvious that it was, you know, the little barely moving mouth. But I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter because that's where we're at technology-wise. So it's irrelevant what it looks like.
It's like, do you want to have something that you can enjoy and have fun with, or do you want to nitpick stuff to be the cool kid in the back of the class? Like, which one do you want to be? Like, because me, I'm gonna enjoy Star Wars. Like, I would like because, like, say. There might be somebody be like, oh, well, Star Wars is trash. Is it? Because you didn't like a couple movies? Because there's like X amount of novels that you don't even know about that you don't know if they're trash or not. Or comic books or animated series. Like there's tons of stuff coming out where like, first, perfect example, The Rise of Skywalker. I'm kind of like on the fence with it. It's okay. I'm not blown away by it. I don't hate it. But I'm not going to denigrate the whole franchise because guess what? That Vader comic book is for real. And guess what? It's the same
all
franchise.
Three or four of the runs, whatever it's on. Every writer who takes
all the hardcovers. The hardcover for the first run is out.
Yeah.
I think the hardcover
I think the second one. Yeah.
Yeah. Like or you have like audiobooks like Dark Disciple is good. The Thrawn book is good. Tarkin book is good. I haven't gotten to Ahsoka yet. There's another Thrawn one.
I want to get that because I know Ashley is the reader for the Ahsoka book, so I know I'm like of course I want to hear her be like.
Oh man, Zia's Lulu says most people crying are the DC fanboys comparing this to Soup's mustache scene.
Whole different.
Which I didn't even care about. I was just like, "Yo, look."
I didn't even notice.
You gotta do.
Like at that point, I didn't even notice. Like,
I was just like,
I
was like, "You got to do what you got to do." It's like, I'm not gonna watch anything in Star Wars frame by frame. I'm not tripping. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about, oh, well, if you pause it right here, you can see where his lip is. I don't want to pause it right there. I want to watch him do cool stuff.
Yeah.
You can't see cool stuff on pause. Shouts to Jenna James says, I'd argue young Samuel Jackson looked way better than this. Heck, even Will Smith and Gemini Man. Will Smith and Gemini Man flowed in between looking great and looking like a video game. It's like, it depends on what part of it. Now, Gemini Man is a movie that I actually enjoyed. I thought it was pretty cool. It was pretty fun to watch. But there are some parts where I'm like, oh wow, like that's young Will. And then there's some parts where I'm like, this looks like a video game. But of course, we're still, technology is still
It's new technology.
We're still growing, all that good stuff. I see Obi-Wan Kenobi is in the chat. Hello there. How are you doing? Nice to see you. And Andre Atkins says, yeah, Star Wars comics be on point and fill in a lot of gaps. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say with relation to the Luke stuff and his development as a character.
Mm-hmm.
Because we just in January just started the new arc of like all the Star Wars comics. So in December they finished the time between episodes 4 and 5. So in January we just started the time between 5 and 6. So we're seeing all these moments, and it's interesting because Luke in that first volume of this new Star Wars run, he basically is like, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I don't even know if I want to be a Jedi now, because obviously this is after Empire and everything failing, and his hand and Vader. And it's so interesting because obviously he has to get from that point to where we see him in Return of the Jedi, where he's still confident. So I'm so interested to see that development, and even when that's done,
this might be a run that I pick up.
Yeah, it's such a good, and like there's so many moments, and also in the Vader comic of this run, there's some very interesting people that show up that I did not expect, and not even remotely. Like it blew my mind's mind.
What's up, Panda? See Panda up in the spot. Of course, Armand, the new age in the house. What up? Said he was moving a little slow. I guess talking about, was it just me or anyone else underwhelmed? But Luke hallway scene. I guess you mean underwhelmed by the rest of the episode, and just the Luke hallway scene was cool. Like clarify that for me. And then Thomas D in the house. What up? Says, does anyone else here? Oh boy. Yeah. It. There's sounds that just happen every now and then, Thomas D. So sometimes it's like that, you know what I'm saying? But with that said, we're getting a season 3, I assume. We're getting the Book of Boba Fett. We're getting an Ahsoka series.
Yeah, there's 4 shows in this time period now.
Four shows in this time period.
The Rangers of the Republic is the other one.
Chat. My question to you in the chat is, how do you feel about having this many shows set in this time period as far as continuity is concerned? Let me know how you feeling, and Dan, what's your thoughts on this? Or do you think it'll be all right? They'll work it out just fine?
I think it'll be all right because each of them is. I mean, of course, we don't know what the Boba Fett show, and it's still kind of a little bit confusing because people are unsure whether it's a show or a special or what. So I'm still leaning towards show, and we don't know what kind of tone or what kind of show that would be if he's just kind of on the criminal Tatooine throne,
Yeah.
Like we don't. But I think all the shows seem different enough. Like they all have, like, Mandalorian is running around doing. We're going to deal with Mandalore stuff, and we're dealing with whatever cowboy samurai kind of tone. Ahsoka, we obviously got to deal with Thrawn and probably Ezra and probably Sabine stuff. Probably there, so that's its own kind of thing. Ranger of the Republic. I mean, that's why we've had so many those couple. Republic pilots, because that was kind of a hinting at that, because so it's going to be I assume it's going to be the pilots, but it's probably more to do with the Republic and kind of them dealing with things all over the galaxy.
Yeah, trying to like
And
tidy up
then
stuff.
yeah, and then the what's the fourth one? What did I say? So yeah, that's it. Yeah. So and then we don't know what the Boba Fett one will be, but I think it's varying enough
All right,
that,
cool.
and plus like with the I think that we have this 5 year gap between episode 6 and Mandalorian, and because I mean, so like with the comics between those episodes, I feel like the comics, once they're done with that between episodes 5 and 6 gap, they'll work on this 5 year period for the comics. I feel like they saved that, done it on purpose, so that the comics can cover some stuff. Because obviously,
stuff.
the Star Wars and Vader's probably going to end, obviously, but the Star Wars comic will keep going, I'm assuming. But I think it's varied enough that it'll be okay. And also, they're probably going to be spaced out, because if we're getting season 3 of the show and whatever the Boba Fett thing is in December of next year, we're not going to get those other 2 shows at least until December of the following year, maybe. So I
that's
think
a good thing. So they won't be like stacked up on top of each other. So that's a good thing. Yeah. And Armand comes through and says, he's talking about the hallway scene, says, I thought the Vader Rogue One scene was better shot. I blame Peyton Reed. I mean, I guess you could argue that, but you're talking about a big budget movie as opposed to a television show.
And also, it's a dark hallway with a lightsaber. It's not that.
It's a dark hallway with a lightsaber.
Seem better when it's Vader in the dark cutting down all these people than it is Luke in the bright lights with all these droids. Like, it's a different scene. Kind of.
It's a very different scene. So
it's a different tone.
Yeah, it's a very different tone and different scene. I mean, I guess I see what you're saying, but I think that the context and the actual scenes are different enough for it not to be a one-to-one comparison. Don't put nothing on Peyton Reed like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't put that on Peyton Reed.
I'd forgotten that he was that he did it, and I saw the name and I'm like, oh, that's right. I forget. It's all right. It's cool.
And Jenna James says, as long as Favreau and Taika are overseeing things with all these series, I think they'll have things operating and flowing well. So yeah, I'm down because I know he's supposed to be doing another film. And I'm down with that. My only issue is, there's some times when I'm like, y'all making me ask questions that I shouldn't have to ask. You know what I'm saying? But it's not a big enough deal yet. But I just feel like if we keep having too much fun, we might get into some issues where it's like, hey man, they said this like 1 year ago in this movie, or they said this in this anime. Like, how do you not have access to that? Like, this is your job. Like, why are you met? So, but besides that,
but then again, there's just so much Star Wars. Like, even the Star Wars story group probably gets. And I know, like, I've thought about this with especially with Rise of Skywalker. That I feel like they need more connectivity between the novels and the movies. And I know that is extremely difficult because of the scheduling of writing a book and the scheduling of filming. Like, I know, but there was in the the book that's between episodes 8 and 9. Where is it? I can't remember, but it's like focuses on like right after episode 8, and like they're dealing with, because everyone's gone, and it's only everyone who fit on the Falcon who's like, and building up the resistance again.
Yeah.
And there's a specific thing where, like, in episode 9, Poe is being all sad about, like, with him on the roof and whatever, and he was talking about, the last time we asked for help, no one came. But in the book, they all found out that there was a reason for that, is because there was the whole point of that book was that they were looking for this list that the First Order had that has then the list of people were like, either the people were dead, the people were in hiding, the people were captured. All the supporters of the resistance had been captured. So like that is the reason that a lot of people didn't come and help them. And of course, because the New Republic got blown away literally at the same time. So it's not exactly a motivating factor. But But like that's
I actually like the idea of them either being intimidated or not believing in the rebellion anymore. I actually like that idea better. Like, because
and
that's a more
like, it's such a
demoralizing.
simple,
That's a more
and it makes
demoralizing
sense.
view, though. You know, like the more like yo, we don't believe you no more. Like y'all won before, and now they're back. Like we don't trust y'all. Like why should we fight with y'all? Like that's
and your government just got blown away. What are you gonna?
Yeah, like they just blew up like 5 planets at one time. Like, man,
that was
like,
the whole republic. That was the entire republic.
We done.
Yeah, and it just like I wanted that connect. So that's why it threw me off, because I was like, but Poe knows that it wasn't just because no one believed in. So I want that connection, like them to be a little bit more organized in that, because there's so much amazing content in those books, especially when it's literally supposed to be a connector between the two movies. And
True.
And also that in that book, Poe had his crew from the comics, because he has a specific crew, he has a squadron, and they were in there. So I was like, oh, I really hope we're gonna get them in the movie, but nope, we only got Snap. And I'm like, but he has like 3 other people in his crew that are literally right there. But I want a little bit more connectivity between them. Like it's like with Marvel, with the it's all connected, but a little bit more connected. Please.
Yeah, Lord. Big shout to Panda in the spot. What up? Thomas D, I ain't messing with you today. I know. Look, I know. What is it? Mr. Black Coach in the house. What up? Big shout out to Armand. I think it's Armand. Is Armand the one that said they think the TV shows are gonna sooner or later retcon the sequel trilogy, and like I don't know. That's a lot to try to retcon.
I mean, plus it's 30 years in the future, so it would take a very long time to even remotely attempt that, even if they wanted to.
Yeah, that'll take a while. And so maybe, I mean, I guess there's nothing impossible, but I'm not sure. Last one though. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was like, people keep saying, like, some people say that, and I'm like, but I mean, it's done. They did what they did.
Yeah.
They made mistakes. They didn't plan out the trilogy like they should have. There wasn't an end goal that they were reaching for. Mm-hmm. And they hired one director that went this way and one director for the next one that went the literally exact opposite direction, because that's the type of Star Wars fans they are. Abrams was soaked in his nostalgia, and Rian Johnson wanted to do something new.
To push and go forward.
And but like, I feel like if they had given, like, honestly, they should have, first off, they should have planned out the trilogy. So they had like, okay, by the end of this movie, we're here. By the beginning and end of this movie, we're here. Like, they should have known what they were going to do.
Yeah.
And then hired one person.
It definitely showed that they, and it's weird because you look at the comics and you're like, they know what they're doing. They know they have their plan out. You look at the novels, they got their plan. But in the sequel trilogy, it was kind of like, all right, let's do this. And then the fans, chimed in. They were like, well, let's change it. Let's do this. And it's like, no, make your plan, stick to your plan, make your movies, and then just let it be whatever it is.
Yeah. I will say this. I think they should have done. So one more. Sorry. That episode 9 had way too much pressure in that it had to end this trilogy, but it also had to end the saga. Personally, I think, even though I know we do 3, I think it should have been that trilogy, and then we ended that, and then there should have been a 10th movie that ended the saga, because there was not enough to connect the prequel. There was not nearly enough that connected to the prequels in this movie, because it was doing too much. They had way too much to do. It should have definitely been an episode 10. I don't know, the end of the sky. I don't know, some fancy title that would.
Some fancy title.
It's some French title, because I mean, if you're doing Rise of Skywalker, and then like I don't know, but like something like, because then you wouldn't have to deal with. You would have had that end of that trilogy, and then you would have had, even if you wanted to be very specific about it, Act 1, 2, and 3 connecting to the 3 trilogies. Like, you could have had some weird kind of. It would have been much simpler and much more less pressure to deal with than fitting it all into one movie, which is already trying to fix the differences. I'm not going to say mistakes because there weren't mistakes. It was just a different point of
Yeah.
view of what he wanted Star Wars to be, and so it was a course correct because you hired a completely different director who wanted.
And there wasn't like a specific like shepherd over all three that was like, all right, this is what all three. This is the message that all three are going to say.
Yeah.
But shout out to Jenna James says Grogu actually called Luke when he was in Tython, huh? This kid or Typhon, huh? This kid doesn't want just any Jedi. He wants to be trained by the best. Oh man, he trained in the best private school by masters like Yoda. I can't blame him. And I guess the last one I'll get to is from, I cannot pronounce your name, so I apologize. Irish, I'll just say Irish, and I don't want to screw up your name. Irish says, do you guys think the show will have a season 3? I think so. I think season 3 will wrap up.
I think it's filming, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought they started filming already.
Yeah, I think season 3 will be the end of this show. Maybe, but maybe not. But I'd say it should. I think a season 3 should be the end of this show. They did leave a potential feud between Mando and Bo-Katan unresolved, but I kind of wonder if it's over and now they move on to Boba's show. I'd say a 3rd season to wrap up Mando, and then go on to Boba's show, which is the show they wanted to do in the first place, and then explore something new. Please explore some people we don't know, and bring in other people that we don't know.
And that's also the great thing about the High Republic is that everything is new.
Yeah.
And it's even a different, because this is the Jedi at the height when they were the thing, they were the big thing, and it's like royal, so we get to see a different view of a different entire version of Jedi that we don't know about, and it's all the new character. The only connector is Yoda. And I will say one thing. I very much want Maz Kanata to be in something because she's old. She's old. She's 1,000 years old or something. Like she and Yoda probably have known each other. And she's like all this. And it's interesting because I just finished Rebel Rising, the Jyn Erso book, and and
y'all know how I feel about Jyn Erso. Well, y'all know how I feel about the actress that portrayed Jyn Erso in the portrayal in the movie. I don't really have anything against the character. The character is fine. I've just never been sold on Felicity Jones. And I was just like, feel like we could have got a better actress in here. But that's a whole nother thing.
But yeah, it's interesting because she was on Takodana for almost a year before she got, because that book deals with when she was 8. So basically this book happens between the flashback sequence of Rogue One and the main movie. So this is all the years of her dealing with stuff, and I have to say, she goes through so much. There is so much that happens in that time. Like, it's a lot. She goes through some heartbreak. She goes through so much stuff. And that's interesting to see that form up into what we see in Rogue One. But I was just mentioning that because of Takodana, because I'm like, if she met Maz, I was like very much expecting Maz to show up in one of the seasons of Mandalorian, because like how do they not go to Takodana? They're just like, it just seems like a perfect planet for them to hang out on.
Yeah, or to like go get some information or something like that.
Yeah.
But with that, guys, we can do this all day. But of course, we have exercised the demons for the most part. Dan, tell people where they can find you.
I'm pretty much on Twitter at Jedi Time San. That's pretty much where I hang out and keep track of all the things.
What up? And Jenna James said, agreed. I would have preferred Emily Blunt or a sister like Janelle Monáe or Logan Browning in that role. I actually wanted Nicole Bahari in that role ever since it was announced. But that's just how I feel about Jyn Erso's character. With that said, I want to give a shout out to the chat. We had some cool people come through. Irish, and I did not want to screw up the rest of your name, so I apologize. Armand, Thomas D, Jenna James. I think we had Markeith Collins super early, Cassandra Sellers, Garance George, ZSB Lou, Andre Atkins. I'm pretty sure I'm missing someone, but it's a whole lot of names, and I do apologize. Chef Chris Smith came through. If I missed your name, I apologize. It's not on purpose. Don't be hating me, all right? So, of course, NERD, SOUL, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all them places. You can hit that thumbs up if you like what you see. Hit that thumbs down if you don't. But if you hit that thumbs down, I'm going to send out them dark troopers. You know what I'm saying? And the dark troopers, you're going to try to push them out the airlock, and they're coming back anyway. All right? We got podcasts if you want to listen. And, of course, last but not least, Spotify for that music. So we're going to leave y'all with that good old Arcatron, dope beats. You best to believe it. From us to you, we're just saying thanks for watching and peace. See y'all next time. Tomorrow for something cool. I don't know. We're going to do something. We out, y'all. Peace.